Have you bought everything and party-proofed your home for the big game tomorrow? One word, Scotchgard. Or is that two? Today is February 10th, and you're listening to Arbitrage Trade Weekend News, and I'm your host, Darin Harper, bringing you 3 things you need to know for this weekend, 3 interviews, which are Economic Blitz, the business of the Super Bowl, Stand Up and Laugh, and Financial Deep Dive with Daniel, what is happening to China's economy? Also, stick around for the winner and loser this week in the market. The 10-year rose to 4.20, and WTI crude jumps to the upper 76s. Last Super Post this year, I promise. This is the first year the Super Bowl has an official in-person DJ. DJ Tiesto was scheduled to party, but had an emergency. Cascade, and that's Cascade with 2 Ks, is coming off the bench to replace him as the master of music for the event. The Vegas hometown resident DJ is excited to represent his city. Empty your pockets and step on this scale, ma'am. Finnair, yes, it is in Finland, is asking passengers to weigh themselves voluntarily before boarding the plane. This is not to validate the claims that the weight loss miracle drugs would save fuel costs, but rather an aircraft balance calculation stat collection. The airline is collecting information for the Transport and Communications Agency. This has to be weighted, sorry, I just had to, towards the less heavy side, as I assume big people may not want to step on those scales. Lastly, here are the bigs for next week. It is Chinese New Year all week, so the markets are closed there. Monday, no big reports, but question everyone who calls in sick and send employees home that are singing Taylor songs. Tuesday is the carnival in, or they say carnival down there, in Brazil. Party! And the U.S. core CPI also comes out. Wednesday, it's UK CPI, crude oil inventories, Japan GDP, and of course, Valentine's Day. Thursday, it's UK GDP, US retail sales, jobless claims, and the Philly Manufacturing Index. And Friday, it's the US PPI. Trade while you're sleeping across time zones with Arbitrage Trade Assist. Sign up today at arbitragetrade.com. Arbitrage Trade is your trusted source for business, finance, and tech info.
Being a cowboy, I don't know anything different from when I was 3 or 4 years old. I did tough things. I thought everybody needed to do tough things, and if you didn't, I didn't have time for it. I had a very successful career at a very young age, and life was fast. I was preparing physically. I wasn't doing anything mentally on the inside, and then I got hurt. I wanted to be better as a person, and I really dug into mental health. I start my day with 20-minute workouts. I live life 8 seconds at a time. Horses are so therapeutic. They know what you're feeling. When you're nervous, they're nervous. You won't say it back, but we're pals. I take a lot of responsibility in taking care of my kids, my family, and being there for them. You're going to have tough days. Everybody does. Find a place to stop and just breathe. Love your mind.
Hello, Caroline. How are you this wonderful February morning?
Oh, it's getting a little warmer. The sun's out. I'm great.
Hey, I heard that Phil, you know that guy,
Puxatawny Phil.
Puxatawny, that's right, for the town of Puxatawny. He did not see a shadow, so we're going to get an early spring, or so they say.
That's what he said.
Okay, so if that's what he said, I'm all for an early spring. But what are we talking about today? So let's, dive on into that.
So I don't know if you've heard or not, but there might be a big football game coming up.
Like soccer?
No, American football.
Okay. I've heard about those guys. Go Saints. I mean, go ahead.
It's fine to say go Saints, but they're not playing on Sunday. I hate to break it to you. They did not make it to the Super Bowl this year.
But neither the Cowboys. Yay!
So Super Bowl obviously is a huge game.
Yes, huge.
Right? It is a huge business, and there's some big economics.
Oh, yeah. I like the commercials.
Okay. So let's talk about the commercials. Last year, one 30-second ad cost $7 million.
Wow. That's crazy.
Who do you think spent the most money on ads last year?
I would hope a finance company.
It was Amazon.
Oh, well, there may as well be a finance company.
Amazon spent $32 million, and then second place, Toyota and Budweiser were tied.
Okay.
Wow. I guess Budweiser was,
I mean, Budweiser,
Budweiser Super Bowl commercials.
Yeah, that's historically, tradition.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you watch for the commercials, do you also watch for the halftime show?
I typically do not watch the halftime show, but I hear they're usually interesting.
They can be interesting for sure. This year it's Usher.
Oh, okay. That's literally how they pull us in. All those Gen Xers, they're like, let's pull in people that was in the early 80s, early 90s and see who will watch.
Right.
But yeah, that's literally how I watched the Super Bowl last year because they pulled in a whole bunch of people from the 80s and 90s.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So something I learned in writing this post, I did not realize that the halftime show artists usually don't get paid.
I did not know that at all. Wow.
So what's the benefit to doing it?
Exactly. What is the benefit to doing it?
What is the benefit to doing it? Well, they don't get paid for the performance, but think about the exposure, the revenue, the stuff that's, well, I hadn't seen Usher in a while. Man, that was really good. Maybe I'll look up a concert.
Right.
And
I
so
can see that.
Kind of all the stuff that goes around it.
Okay. I like that. That's amazing. Okay.
So let's talk about Super Bowl tickets.
Oh, boy.
Average price this year for a ticket is up 70% from last year.
Holy inflation, Batman.
Last year, yes. So some things go into that. The city this year, it's in Las Vegas.
Okay, yeah.
The
Things are much more expensive there.
The teams that are playing, the Kansas City Chiefs and the 49ers.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
That can play into it
also,
as well.
Yeah.
So the average price is $9,800 this year.
Per ticket.
The average price. Yes.
So these could be nosebleed, 9,800.
Well, that's the average price. I've heard the cheapest one's more like 4,000 or 5,000.
Oh, okay. Only 4,000 or 5,000.
Only. Right?
I have 2 kidneys. We can make this happen.
So the first Super Bowl in 1967.
Yeah.
One ticket cost $12.
I want to go back to 1967.
Right. So, there's a lot more with the ads and the food and the service industry, like in Las Vegas, Uber drivers. I mean, it's a huge, huge thing for several weeks, not just the day of.
Oh, wow. That is a lot of information. And I guess go Chiefs or go 49ers. Thank you, Caroline, for being here. And if you want to learn more about this, go to arbitragetrade.com/blog. You guys have a great day.
Enjoy the game.
My name's Stacy. I'm 57, and I was adopted in 2020.
We were adopted in 2019.
And we were adopted in 2021.
We had a house, and it sounds crazy, but it wasn't a home. The one thing that Jake and Emma brought is it became a home.
When I met Dakota, he had just turned 14.
You weren't there for the first this and the first that. I missed the first words, but we got a lot of other firsts.
Watching her say, oh my God, I cannot believe I got my license. And she's like, I passed. And I'm like, girl.
See them grow. It is...
They chose to love us. They didn't have to. They chose us. Family.
You and you. Kids in the middle.
What I thought was a complete life was nowhere near complete, but it is now.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org.
Hello, Darin. Welcome to February. Okay, what are we talking about this month? Is it love? Is it marriage? Is it love and marriage?
Did we? I guess. Well, anyway, did you hear the one about the CEO and the social media coordinator going into a bar?
Shots?
Yes.
I like this. All right, but I'm sure that was not the punchline.
No, I don't have one, which is terrible as a comedian, right? I don't know.
No, hey, that's okay. Tomatoes are definitely, that's... Hey, you can't get tips.
That's
get
fill in
tomatoes.
the blank comedy there.
Yes, absolutely. We need to work on your crowd work, brother. We need to work on your crowd work.
All right, let's talk about that.
All right. So, this week, I wrote a blog on basically trying to be a stand-up comedian. Some people have tried it. I have a brother-in-law of mine who is basically going and playing in that field. And I'm like, hey, how hard is it? Let's find out. Let's do some research and see, what makes people laugh or how do you even start in a field like that?
Yeah, I when I was a kid, I was a nerd type kid. My parents would get Reader's Digest. Yes.
Oh, sorry, I'm working on my material.
That's terrible. Work on it.
All right.
My parents would get Reader's Digest, and I'd always flip over to I think it was like Laughter's the Best Medicine section or something, and so that's when my comedic timing
started,
and I'm still not there. But anyway.
Hey, wait for it.
Yeah. I said I'm good.
Sorry.
But I don't know. What do you do? How do you, if I want to get started? And by the way, when I go on cruises, that's my favorite thing is to go to the comedians.
Oh, absolutely. Basically, that's their job. And basically, they have mastered the art of making people laugh.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And basically, if you really want to be a comedian, you have to immerse yourself in that world. It's just like anything. If you actually want to get good at it, you have to. It's like, okay, that means like study the greats, like the Richard Pryors, right? And like, the Bill Cosby's, all the old guys, and
George Carlin,
George Carlin. That brings out a whole new other open the can of worm there.
The list,
all right, the list, and then like the new guys, like the Fluffies, the Matt Rife, the Amy Schumer. Yes, I always have trouble pronouncing her name. Don't take offense, Amy. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's right. Amy's on the line.
Oh, dang nabbit. She caught me again. All right.
I do have a quote though. It says, if you can't laugh at yourself, then you can't laugh at anybody else. So
that is true.
And just be human. And that's from Paige Stewart. I'm going to assume that's the golfer, but
yeah. And they say that the highest form of flattery is imitation.
Yeah.
So basically, studying those guys and studying those gals, you basically see how they time their jokes.
Delivery is the most important thing.
Yeah. And I found a lot of stuff to be true that basically using real life. Real life is hilarious. The irony of the things that happen.
There's material all over the place.
All over the place, right? I recently went to a Chappelle show that was here in Memphis, and they had to actually put your stuff and your phones in bags because people would try to record the material, and if it gets out, then other comedians might try to take it and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like it's they made it a real business, and it's real funny. And hey, it's if you think you have it, go for it. Go read a little bit more about it on our blog at arbitragetrade.com/blog. And if you got it, go for it.
Yep. Love and laughter makes the world go round.
Yep. And guess what? The joke's on you.
Hey.
The Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council present the story of Tom and Levi.
Tom is the smartest man I know. He's been a professor at 2 major universities, been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, he told me that he was having problems in his classes. I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. And he was telling them that he was doing it as a favor to them, but I think in reality, he just wanted to get out of there. I was really starting to worry because I saw something was wrong.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me, and my love for him was just immense.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Hey everyone, this is Darin, and I am the host of the Financial Deep Dive with Daniel. Of course, we have Daniel Hopwood here as our guest. He's also the writer of the blog of the week for China. And what he wrote about was what's happening to China's economy. It's the big question. You want to get started with that and kind of give us an overview of what China's all about right now?
Yeah, so pretty much it's not the potential, economic threat that we once thought it was. So, we had Evergrande recently get a judge ruling saying they have to liquidate all their properties to cover their $30 billion of liabilities. Chinese equities have hit a 5-year low. They're down 40% from their 2021 high. And there's a lot of signs showing that the Chinese economy is slowing for the first time in, nearly 10, 15 years. And that's resulted in some pretty interesting things for the U.S. as well, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Right. Yeah. I think you said like $7 trillion in loss since 2021 or something like that. Something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. Since the peak, it's lost $7 trillion in market value, which is insane to think about.
That is so insane. And of course, we get all the politicians that have to talk one way and probably have investment. Well, I won't go there. I'd love to, but I won't. So there was news again. I mean, a little bit later in the week that Xi Jinping has canned his head of the CSRC, which is the China Securities Regulatory Commission, which I guess is kind of like our SEC. But anyway, he canned him. And this was after he had gone probably a step too far and had banned lending shares, and he basically cut off the hedge funds from selling and some crazy stuff like that. So
wait, so when he had this meeting, he canned him?
I don't know if it's all within the same meeting, but I do know that that he's gone.
Interesting, because I know in the post that I wrote that Xi was about to have his first meeting with their essential like Chinese regulatory body,
right?
For the first time in like years that he never has, and so the view was that things have gotten so bad that it's now gone to Xi, and that this was a sign that the last time this happened, that the government stepped in to more or less prop up the stock market, more or less like what the Federal Reserve did for the U.S. during COVID.
Right. Well, we keep hearing stories, and I don't know if they're, stories to try to pump American dollars into investing into the Chinese market, but I mean, you'll hear it, and we've been hearing it over and over again through the years about China's on a rebound. Well, this time, I just don't know.
Yeah, it even if it does rebound, it still has to come back. What if it's down 40%? It has to come back 80% to get back to previous all-time highs.
It's a house of cards, isn't it?
Yeah, no, exactly. And one of the things that a lot of the people view the U.S. as valuations are super high. Who knows what's going to happen? But really, it's the only investable economy because, for the most part, we still have free market trade in stocks. Like there's no government that's going to hold you back when you become a billionaire, and you're going to be hush hush. And we at least know our books are somewhat correct, where in China, they potentially fudge their numbers, like we saw with, I believe it was like Lucky Coffee 2-3 years ago, when they actually made no money, but they had billions of dollars of like net profit or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, the U.S. certainly has their share of shell companies as well, but you're right.
I like this saying that we're the cleanest dirty shirt.
That you know what? You're probably right. Right.
Still a dirty shirt, but we're the cleanest of the lot. So, why not wear us?
Well, you also mentioned about Taiwan, and that's always out there. And if China wants to take the next step, and I kind of think that's what our politicians kind of walk on eggshells about, but it's the whole Chinese, Taiwan, Hong Kong, all of that. There's tension there, right?
Yeah, there is. And, it's critical for the U.S. because they have, I think like 80% of the world's prefabs, which are the facilities that semiconductors are made at. And, China is right next to Taiwan. There's been a lot of posturing in the South China Sea to take over Taiwan. And I believe we were talking about it the other day that in some recent proposal, there's money to help defend Taiwan if something does happen.
Right.
It is one of those things that, it is probably not in China's best interest, because I don't know if you saw the report today, but for the first time in 20 years, we now import more goods from Mexico than we do from China.
Yeah. And there's been a change.
China, if they do an attack like that, and we do more than just military action. Trump said if he came back into office, he would impose up to a 60% tariff on Chinese goods. Their, slowing economy could get even slower.
Yeah, he would just pick up where he left off.
Rates, it's not looking too good for China in many ways.
That is true. This is, there could be a part 2 here as far as the Evergrande situation, because Country Garden's still sitting out there, and I haven't heard anything recently on it, unless they're just waiting to announce that later.
Yeah, I have no idea. That one has not been highlighted.
Man, wow. Well, I mean, I guess we can just pretty much say that, like you said, China is kind of a big burning pile of something right now. It needs help.
Yeah. It's
which will make things other countries like the or other currencies like the dollar should be able to stay up as long as the Chinese situation is like it is, I would think.
Yeah, in theory it should, but that people have been predicting the collapse of places like China for 20 years, and obviously it hasn't collapsed yet. It's continued to grow, and things only need to be different once for them to actually go the other way. But they're definitely not going anywhere anytime immediately soon. But in the immediate future, they're definitely on some rocky footing.
That's too many people, and I have seen a really big push to try to transfer all of that energy to India that has been going to China. So everybody's looking for options, and that's probably the smart thing to do. And as we head towards these elections this year, hold on tight.
Oh yeah, this will be a divisive topic. Actually, maybe it won't be. Who knows? Maybe they'll finally be on the same page about something.
Yeah, who knows? We'll find out in the future. I appreciate you coming on here, Daniel, and talking about China, and I'm sure this won't be the last time we'll hear about it.
Probably not. We'll talk to you next week, Darin.
All right. Take care, Daniel.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that we can give our daughters everything they need to grow and learn, but not every child can focus on classes and play dates.
Nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. face hunger. That's 1 in 6. School lunch might be their only meal each day, and it's heartbreaking to imagine any child going to bed hungry. We're dreaming of a perfect day when kids can smile, play, and just be kids without worrying about where their next meal will come from. Feeding America is working to make that perfect day a reality.
Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. That food is given to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about doing things that make an ordinary day extraordinary. Learning to play an instrument, building a sandcastle, hosting tea parties. Hunger should never be an obstacle to growing up.
You can help end childhood hunger in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
This week's winner and loser in the markets. The loser is Snap. Headquartered in California, it offers Snapchat, a visual messaging application with various tabs such as camera, visual messaging, Snap Map, Stories, and Spotlight that enable people to communicate visually through short videos and images. If you didn't know that, your kids could have told you that. Snap opened the week at $17.20 and fell as low as $10.82 after reporting less than expected revenue and a fourth quarter loss. Their forward guidance was most likely the biggest propellant downward. The winner is Clean Spark, that's CLSK. It's headquartered in Nevada, where the Super Bowl is. It operates as a Bitcoin miner in the Americas. It owns and operates data centers that primarily run on low-carbon power. After announcing that it plans to buy 4 Bitcoin mining facilities ahead of the halving and reporting first quarter revenue growth up 165% year over year, CleanSpark, which started the week at $8.28, ran as high as $14.59 by Friday. The whole crypto category has gotten a big pump this week. Visit arbitragetrade.com and learn about Pips, our AI bot, who lets you stop watching and start living. We're not financial advisors, we provide a service. Thank you for joining us today for another edition of Arbitrage Weekend News. Log into arbitragetrade.com to read our wide variety of blogs and educate yourself on Trade Assist and Forex trading, or even how to make passive money with our Trade Assist affiliate marketer program. You can also get to know our cute little AI bot, Pips. Arbitrage Trade Analytics LLC is a privately held research company. Arbitrage Trade Analytics LLC is solely responsible for the preparation and distribution of the contents of this podcast. The opinions offered in this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended to function as investment advice. Seek a duly licensed professional for investment advice. For more information about the informational research and services offered by Arbitrage Trade Analytics LLC, please visit arbitragetrade.com.